Walk off. Okay.
Oh, I think you have to start it.
We'll call the meeting to order.
Well, they got the
Okay.
other stuff.
Yeah.
We got used to.
I will call the meeting to order.
I was standing next to you. Okay.
Recording in progress.
The roll call is Joel DeFebo, Allison Dunn, Alexandria Dunn, Allison Heinzone, and myself, Judy Henkel, are present. Courtney won't be here this month, she'll be back with us next month. And our liaison, Dave Freeman, and we have a few guests. So this evening, we're going to just suspend and put the rest of our agenda after our special presentation. So am I turning it over to Alex?
Whenever you want us to start, I know we talked about, you were gonna talk about different, platforms, I guess, and pricing, and however you wanna handle it. If you wanna talk about We Can Serve first, you can do that too. So,
That's gonna come second.
okay.
So yeah, if we can, I'm recording, so I'll just share my screen now. Okay. Excellent. Hello and good evening, everyone. I am Irina Beal. I am We Can Serve PA's GIS analyst. I'm represent to you today about what GIS is and what We Can Serve PA EAC network can do for you. So a little bit about GIS is Geographic Information Systems. And Esri describes this well as the science of where. And so it's a technology that can be used to create, manage, analyze, and map all types of data. And it connects data to a map, integrating location data with all types of descriptive information. So this example I like to give is CVSs. How many CVSs are there in a 5-mile radius? What is the shortest distance to them? What hours are they? What supplies do they hold? What inventory do they carry? How many jobs how many people do they hire? So all this information can be supplied to a single point and then used to analyze information and answer questions or queries going on. So GIS helps users understand patterns, relationships, and geographic context. The benefits include improved communication, efficiency, management, and decision making. So if you have a question and you can bring in spatial data, then you're able to answer those questions with layers. But the biggest important information is getting those layers. So GIS records information in spatial locations, and this can have a point on a map, a polygon, a line. You can have intersecting lines, you can have intersecting points and polygons, and then you can have a associated attribute table that gives you information about these spatial points in space. And so you can query or filter, so who, what, when, where, how close, how far, what's the cluster, what's the frequency. You can sort the data and select by common attributes. And so most data has a location component, and then a lot of the data also can have a spatial temporal component as well. And we can have different relationships between these components. So as I mentioned about the CVS example, so how many CVSs are in your 5-mile radius? What about your municipality? What about your county, your jurisdiction, so on and so forth? What are these profits? What are the volumes? Supply chain? You can start answering these larger questions once you get those building blocks and those layers and information on top. And then you have the data that you can start as an Excel spreadsheet or tabular table. and then you can bring the spatial component to map it, and then you can present that information to the public as either a web map, so that would be more static, where people can click on the map and get information about that polygon point or line, or it could be something a little bit more complicated or user interface more friendly as a web application. So now you can start doing filters, queries, spatial intersections, and more, and answer those questions that you have with the data available. And then dashboards give you that numerical component involving how much is here, how many acres, how many people, and what quantities, what's the distribution of data. And then you can take it to the next level, such as story maps. So that would be bring that data into a more personal context of what's the story behind this data. And 10 years ago, there was one CVS in a 20-mile radius. Now there's 16 in a 5-mile radius. What's the story behind that? And then who's competing with them? And then this also helps promote collaboration and problem solving. Okay, well, if you think about in Middletown, down in Dauphin County, they just put in a Wawa. So that's right across the street from the Sheets. How is that going to compete with competition? How are the customers going to be affected? So you could be collecting data about the customers and the usage and the times and the volumes. And so this is all data you can be collecting in real time and answering these questions and how to problem solve. So you can choose the locations of points, population, demographics, statistics that you collect that other people have collected. You can bring that all together. You can get a better understanding of what you have yourself. So I work with land conservation groups. So they protect land either as fee or easement. And so they wanted to know about how many acres they protect and where they are and who they're adjacent to and what other protected lands are next door. And that can answer all those questions. And I have a conserved land map on weconservepa.gas.org that gives you a lot more information about that. And then you can make more informed decisions about what you can do going forward. So the past helps predict the future. So if you have been working more in one area, but you want to expand to others, you can do research on the patterns of protection in those areas and what's been successful and what's been a little bit more difficult. And then who else is working in your area? So you can look at your spatial overlaps of your service areas. So I mentioned GIS, and the commercial product is ArcGIS, hosted by Esri, and We Can Serve PA as a nonprofit organization is benefited by being a nonprofit 501c3, and we're able to get this as a nonprofit rate. For others, there are annual fees at $700 a year. This also includes $500 credit, which will be good for 2 years. And that just includes storage and data hosting, as well as if you want to use special tools that might consume credits.
Can I ask what?
Yep, go ahead.
What would one credit buy? Like, how much does that buy, I guess?
It has to do with the storage, which is in kilobytes or megabytes. One credit can go a very long way. So 500 credits can last you 1-2 years plus. It's very generous, absolutely. And there's more data information on the Esri website on that specific conversion, because it is a mathematical equation about your storage over time. And with this license, another question?
Well, I guess it was like, are we buying stuff like information from like different, like the counties or something like that? Like what?
This is for the software.
Okay.
This is for the desktop program. There's also an ArcGIS Online account that you can create for about $100. There's going to be all online based. This would be for, and then you'd also need credits in order to process specific, do specific analysis. I'm going to get to a little bit of a freeware in a little bit as well. But this is what is most powerful, and you can do analysis, synthesis, data hosting, creating web maps that's hosted online, publishing, exporting maps to PDFs and JPEGs. And you can find more information using the URL. So ArcGIS, products, user types. You want to be a creator, possibly. You could also be there's other levels included. But if you're a creator, you can create these dashboards. Field maps would be collecting data in the field, create these story maps. But if you have an ArcGIS license, it's about $100, and that and you can buy credits as well along there. And so there's a lot of the other options. I would recommend talking to an Esri sales team. The number's there, and then you can do research online as well to get more information. And this PowerPoint will be shared with you after the presentation. So another alternative is QGIS. It's qgis.org. It's available through Windows, Mac, and Linux. It is open source, free to use, and crowd supported. You can also create maps, edit layers, process and analyze, and also share these maps. I have to say there is a steep learning curve to both of these products. And if you become familiar with one, it'll be easier to do work in the other. Just know that We Can Serve PA and myself is open to assisting EACs in terms of data processing, analysis, and creating maps. But I wanted to let you know what you might be able to do on your end if you want to take this route going forward. So again, QGIS can do all this. It can be hosting. You can create a server, have a web client, and then collect data in the field as well. So there is great documentation available, and there's trainings and manuals, and of course, YouTube online is a wonderful resource on tutorials and how-to. So this is something that you might be interested in looking into. Here's the resources. Now we talked a little bit about data, and I would recommend this is data you might be able to bring into a non-GIS platform. So a good example would be Google Earth. So you would want to download data as a KML file. So if you go to POSDA, or the Pennsylvania Spatial Data Access portal, this has a myriad of data from all sorts of sources, both state, federal, nonprofit, and more. And it can be found at posda.psu.edu. And you have LIDAR, you have hydrology, and so much more. And We Can Serve PA's layers and information is hosted here. Another great resource is DCNR's Open Data Portal. And this has all the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, their data layers and such. So I have the URLs listed there. And again, a lot of this data you can download as a spreadsheet or as a KML file or CSV. And so you have alternatives that are a little bit less spatial, but you can aggregate that data and simplify it based on the attribute tables if need be. And I can help you with all that going forward if you have interest. Now, Northampton County does have some data on their end. So they have some tax parcels, and then as well as a parks, trails, and open space system. And then, of course, Upper Mount Bethel has a zoning map, which you're probably already familiar with all these information. I just wanted to share with it that there's county and municipal specific data available to you as well that you can bring into a GIS platform and be able to look at what's in your area. Now, what does We Can Serve PA have in terms of GIS data? Well, if you go to our URL, you'll be able to see the PA Conserve official spatial database of conserved land. So this is all your protected lands, parks, open space, land trust land, easements, state lands, federal lands, state and federal easements, and the list goes on. And this is a wonderful resource. I highly recommend you explore this on your own time. And I'm always welcome and open to feedback. We also have census of land trust holdings. We do this every 2 years, and we also have a report out that's available on our website. So if you just look at land trust census, you'll be able to find that on our website and get more information there. And then another great resource is group service areas. So this would be land trust service areas. So if a land trust is working in a specific couple counties, that would show up, and then so you could find out who's working in your county, what other land trusts or have surface areas that overlap, as well as with watersheds. So now we're looking less at the county side and more at the watershed side, and then trail groups, and then as you all know, the EACs. And then if you go to these service areas on the map and you click on it, then you can have more information about the website, and you can be directed from there. But it's great to find out who's working in your area and who you can collaborate with. And then, of course, you have the State Conservation Investment Spatial Database. So these are all the grants that have been funded through the Keystone Recreation Park and Conservation Fund, Environmental Stewardship Fund, and Land and Water Conservation Fund. And then now there's the Highlands Conservation Act included as well. So these are all resources you can find and explore through the GIS webpage on our side. So switching over to what an EAC network is. So this We Conserve PA helps collaborate with the EAC network, and it is a peer support network. And it helps to facilitate between EACs and their members. And we are stronger together, and it's great to collaborate with those who are of similar mindsets, and in order to embark on new projects and innovations. So this helps to provide resources and technical assistance, facilitate peer connections, and share important news and grant opportunities, and develop educational opportunities. So resources and technical assistance can be accessed through 2 websites. So wecanservepa.org/EAC, where you'll be able to find our recently updated EAC handbook and other basic information, and the We Can Serve PA library, with the URL before. And you'll be able to find majority of what you need by selecting the first website. And I'll show you a little bit more about what's on that page. So these are great resources at your disposal. So there's an entire webpage dedicated to information, resources, and networking, and discussion groups as well. You can also look at our We Can Serve PA library, and if you go to our landing page and up at the top right-hand corner, you'll be able to see all these options: library, conserve land, greenways and trails, EAC, and advocate. If you if you select the library, you'll get to our very robust library with a lot of model documents, and then much more information. I highly recommend just exploring that. And then if you select the EAC, obviously it'll take you to the EAC landing page. I wanted to point out here that there are EAC operational videos, and if I gave you the folder structure and how to get to those that video set, as well as the URL to help you later on. And then I also want to point out that I did a presentation with the City of Easton EAC a little while back, and that presentation is available at the URL below. So if you want to look at how I was able to assist in Kindle in terms of hands-on data collection and processing, then please look into that. The EAC network also assists with peer connections. It allows members to help one another by facilitating the sharing of experiences and encouraging group problem solving. And again, this is where maps come into play, where you can look at what's on the ground and what's coming up. And then also there's certain topics and discussions that you can join as well.
I don't know if you
There's
got
also
that message. I just want to warn you. It says we have 10 minutes, and I have to upgrade otherwise.
okay. I'll wrap up shortly. And so you can also look at your newsletters. So you want to look at our you can subscribe to our EAC newsletters and keep up to date with that. And there are upcoming educational opportunities. There's a conservation easement seminar coming up October 17th. I sent an email out to everyone or to Dole about the October 1st meeting that you're welcome to join. And then there are annual and biannual meetings as well coming up that I've shared out with you. That's again available on our events page. And that's it for me. I'm Irina Beal, a GIS analyst, and then please contact Carol Grayshaw, the Director of Education, for other networking and event opportunities. And with that, I'll stop sharing.
Do you have any questions? I do. I know you mentioned the free version. How does that compare with the pro version? Is there certain limitations compared to each one? And
so ArcGIS Online, you can have a free account. The only cost associated with that will be in terms of credit usage. You can buy 1,000 credits for $100, and you'll be slightly limited in terms of the level of analysis and data processing. But if you're only interested more in your municipality, it'll be less volume. But I would highly recommend contacting an Esri service support agent to help discuss what your opportunities would be and the costs associated. And the completely free version would be the QGIS, but again, there is a steep learning curve. There are resources out there, but it is a desktop program with all of the spatial analysis tools available to you.
with the free online version, can you have multiple users then linked to the same account?
The free online version would be one account, but you can have multiple accounts, but one account per user, and then multiple users. But then you can share data between users through a group, and you'll want to talk to an Esri support individual about a little bit more what you can do, because you can have one account with multiple users as well. But there most likely will be costs associated with that.
So you mentioned that We Can Serve PA does some support. So would that be like if we were trying to make some sort of map, we can work with you? Is there like
100%, absolutely. We can collaborate. If you have an idea, a vision, a question, contact me, reach out, I'll consult with you. If I can do the work, I will. If you want to help me do the work, I will help you do the work.
okay?
This is David Clooney. I'm online. Do you mind if I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm from the Open Space Advisory Board, where we have separate Open Space Advisory Board in Upper Mount Bethel, as you probably know. And we have a lot of projects that involve spatial information, but we don't have any tools that we use to manage them. And we're frequently trying to identify properties that we would like to preserve that meet certain characteristics, be they spatial or otherwise. And there are lots of challenges with that in terms of getting the data from various different sources. I mean, even the zoning map that you mentioned in your presentation for the township is a rasterized PDF. There's no data in there. It's just a pretty picture. And whenever you ask the zoning person what the zoning of something is, then they have some means of determining that that's not shared with the general public. So for the township, at least, I can imagine there would be some interest from a township administrator perspective in terms of improving our GIS resources as an entire township, and certainly from the Open Space Advisory Board, there's certain properties that are involved in preservation activities such as the preserve, which we want to do some improvements on, and there's an ongoing project for that. And all of our engineers, of course, use GIS products themselves, but they generally, again, just share us with pretty pictures and printouts and stuff like that, as opposed to manageable data. So is We Conserve willing to help with those kind of activities?
Yes, and I would encourage collaboration with municipalities and the county if need be, in terms of if sometimes is ability for, if you can create an agreement between a user and the township GIS package, online resource, and to be able to utilize some of those tools in terms of data storage. But that'd be a great conversation to have as a group with the EAC, myself, and or the township county. And I can do work on my end and then share it with you, with as long as the county and township is okay with that, because I can convert rasters to a polygon and then summarize those polygons by attribute type, acreages, and then you can also have spatial intersections. So whether you have zoning boundaries and maps, and then tabular data associated with that as well. I would recommend sending me an email, ibeal@weconservepa.org. All our emails are on the We Conserve PA website under About, and then Staff to drop down. And send me an email with your question information. And if you want to collaborate with the township, I definitely recommend that. But again, I can do a lot of the work on my end. But if you want more assistance about being able to do the work on your end going forward, I'm happy to help work through that and be representative and talk to Esri as well about those things. But I have all the capabilities on my end. But if you have an idea and a question, I can get you a map, I can get you data, spatial data, I can get you tabular data summarized. If you want to report, that's good as well. So if I have time for it, and I will definitely take that up for you.
Great, thanks, super.
So this is Judy. Can I just go on with what Dana was saying? We at one time could query GIS and say, show me all the properties in the township over 50 acres. That's kind of static, like he's saying for the maps. Could we layer attributes and say, show me all the properties, the parcel numbers or something over X number of acres along a road with wetlands, and contiguous to other preserved land. Can we do that and then come out with, give us the priority on the next best properties that we should be looking to purchase? Is that too complicated? I thought that's what you were saying in the beginning.
I can do that. It's going to be, that will be a couple steps of analysis. If you want to do that yourself, that would be a little bit more complicated. But if you know what you're looking for, that's the best case scenario. So
we're trying to get the township to be involved in this. We want to say, well, we're not just going to show you where all the stop signs are in the township, or the 3 ways, or the traffic lights. This has the opportunity to really help you in planning things for the township. But then we have to get somebody on board that isn't going to resign from a committee or go away or get fired. So we depend on you then as our backstop.
I would open up a communication line with myself, with the township, with the county. The more people on board, the better. Talk about your needs, talk about your aspirations. I can do a lot of the work, so it won't be any cost towards the county, but whatever they can do to help you do your job better, I would say that would be the goal going forward. and I would be running support.
Okay, I know that our county does have a lot of good data, they've got a lot of information. So,
I have a
thank you.
question. I'm John, I'm one of the supervisors here in Upper Mount Bethel.
She might-
Can you hear him?
Yes.
Can you hear me? My question is on the data size. Mount Bethel is roughly 45 square miles. Is that what the...
Wait, can I call her on this?
Look what you did.
Yeah, I know.
Look what you did.
She's like, oh, him? Click.
I wonder if I can call her.
Well, my question for you guys, if you can't, is the data size for how much land we have and what we can input in and store, or would it just be the processing speed of what we're asking it to do?
Wait, what was?
Okay.
The process, it sounded like we're paying for the processing speed, so we can ask it to do multiple things and have it do more things at once.
No,
Pay for the software.
the data,
Yeah.
so we need the data layers, and the number of layers and the number of points and polygons on each layer determines the data size. But you
So
need
since we're, like, us compared to Portland, they might not need the data where we might,
right,
because we have such a large,
well, the size of the
Square
municipality
mile.
doesn't really matter, it's what data do you wanna
have
query
all at
against.
once.
Like, you probably want a roadmap, you want the tax boundaries, the parks, the open space, all that kind of stuff. You layer those up and then you can,
The
analyze
well
that.
ordinance group
This
might
is
want their
GIS.
own.
yeah.
I have it.
So you could
Yeah,
go,
I've used
you
QGIS,
could go to a map
that's
and pick the layer you need,
Yes,
my preference,
Multiple layers.
your multiple layers on the same map.
yeah.
right.
Hello, Irina.
I think they call that a.
This is Dole. Sorry, we lost you.
Think of
Our,
Google
our,
Maps.
No, I
meeting
use
time
Google
now.
Maps all the time, that's
But we
why
have,
It's a
I'm
GPS system.
trying to compare it
but we
to
have
that.
another question
But
for
we
you, if
can
it's
input
all right, if we can finish
multiple
over the
things.
phone.
We just have
Okay,
to
hold
know
on
the
now.
data is the problem.
She's on the phone here, ask the question.
Yeah, my question was more in relation to like, the data size that we would be purchasing if we wanted to, become an active user of this. Given that we have about 45 square miles, would we need more data than, let's say, Portland, which is, what, 6 square miles?
Not even
No,
that,
not even
no.
that.
Not
A
even-
mile or 2 miles.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions?
We obviously have to buy it. We have to buy something, or, yeah.
Any
I say
questions?
like,
No.
cause I know, hi, this is Alex, like, I know that you can help assist us with things, but we'd have to like purchase or have an account on one of these platforms in order to use your assistance.
Here you get a bunch of credits.
It's only for the online service. That's one of the problems, is we don't know if we wanna do desktop version, which is free, or the online version, which is
I personally feel like if we start using the desktop and we want more, then we can go into talking about spending $700 a year for it, which isn't a huge thing if multiple people use it.
Right. The $700 a year though is for the desktop version online. For $100 a year, you can do just the in a web browser version.
Okay.
Which might actually just have an online portal, and they don't all need the software application installed.
it's $100 per user.
Well, we need to talk to,
It didn't sound like she was too confident.
Depends if you just make a user and share
But like,
credentials.
would
Okay.
EAC be a user?
All right,
Would
thank
Open
you.
Space be a user?
Not sure.
Won't creep to me.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Anyone else?
That's it for now. I'm sure we'll come up with more as we.
We'll probably have more questions,
Yeah.
and maybe we'll get, an email chain going, Irina, but we appreciate you, doing the meeting, Zoom meeting for us, and taking time out of your evening to do it
Yes,
for us.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, we have to do it again. I think we can figure it out, and maybe we'll upgrade our Zoom too in the meantime.
I want fun background.
hmm?
I want fun backgrounds. Open space, that's what it's like, space.
Just a black background.
Perfect. We appreciate it. Thank you so much, Irina. Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you. She was saying, she was more than happy to do the Zoom because we saved her a 2-hour drive. So, you know, if we wanna call her up again.
So I hope that helped explain things a little bit better, and
I am confused of the users versus
too.
accounts,
Me
and
too.
as she was explaining it, I couldn't get heads or tails
and
of
maybe
it.
that's why we gotta contact Ezra and.
Yeah.
I'm almost thinking like it might be worth it if EAC is a user and all the members can use it. Open Space
what I
is a
thought.
member.
Well, yeah, could we have,
If every single person gets it,
yeah,
that could bankrupt the town quick.
Yes, yes.
Well, that's like.
Everyone's gonna want it just to.
And that's
to
why.
play around, yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, maybe one person from each, I don't know, that's what we'll have to see.
But I'm
Maybe
wondering.
just share it as a whole, and if it gets real expensive, you know. But who knows?
I'd like to see if we got the free versions or the lowest introductory, if we used it and it was effective and people wanted more,
Right.
then
Well, the other-
sure.
The other thing too, though, if some of these maps that we wanna create, if they're so complicated that we might not be able to handle it, or we don't have time to do it ourselves, because let's
Then it's
face
a
it,
waste, yeah.
this is the best resource, is having them do it for us.
Yeah, yeah, right.
And we try to tell her what we want, and hopefully she can collect the right data that we're trying to.
Well, she also said she'd take the paper maps and make them into the vector that works within the GIS system. So we have the data, it's just really a matter of getting it into a usable format for this kind of system. That's the problem I came across when I started playing with QGIS, is that, oh great, I need roads, I need parks, I need all this, that, and the other, and it's like, well, a county's gonna sell me, I think it was a road map set up for $150. I'm like, this is supposed to be public data.
So if you have QGIS and you want the road data from the county, you're paying the county $150 and it's going on your QGIS platform,
They give me the files.
and then you can.
I can share them if I want.
So you could send it to somebody on EAC and
Yeah.
Open Space, and then we
Yeah.
could all use it.
They're
And
just text files that
technically,
can be shared
you
very
guys-
easily.
You guys paid before for like the watershed maps and stuff like that, right? You guys paid for all that in the past, for that study and to have it electronically?
We did grants, we didn't do it, but.
I understand,
consultant,
but we
right.
already have that
Well, and
part.
here's what I wanted to say, and I'm sorry I didn't call today or Monday. What I had said before to one of the meetings was, all these planned slate bill of the 10 municipalities that were gonna go together, we've been facilitated by Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, which is huge. They've got more data than you know what to do with, and sophisticated systems. So what they were saying at the last meeting, and we're not meeting this month, which will be tomorrow, they will break out the slate belt area from Wind Gap to Portland and put all that data that they have for us to be able to click in and be able to use it. Now, I need to find out, what does that mean? Is it still, I think, it's still on their platform or whatever, and we're just clicking into their base and pulling information?
That's the question we wanna ask is,
Yeah, we're
is
not
there an
downloading
online
it all.
Well, can we download it?
Okay,
They could just
Or
hand
do
you
you
a
have
flash
a
drive.
portal that we can use? Maybe we join their GIS account.
okay, the portals,
You know,
yeah, these
but
words aren't the correct.
All the data can be exported. That's one of the beautiful things about GIS. It's all transportable. You just gotta get it generally. Because QGIS will read the same stuff that,
So I should find out from
ArcGIS?
yeah.
Yeah.
we would have an immense amount of data, and
Yeah.
it's being updated, and they would keep it updated. It would be on the Plan Slate Belt, website, but I need to do, really get into that. How are we gonna be able to use that?
It seems like, I do go to a lot of different organizational meetings, and everyone is compiling their own data, and having it to be in a place that,
For everyone to use.
yeah, and just for them to use themselves.
Right.
Like EDC is collecting data on businesses and where these
Right.
locations are and the back road stuff, and
That would be useful.
obviously open space are land that touches other land to preserve it to get a continuous portion. The well ordinance, I mean, everyone has something that
Right.
they're trying to nail down, and no one is kinda has it all in the same
If you have one
place.
place to put all of it, then you don't lose things like the township logo.
That's why ArcGIS makes more sense if you have
You will-
multiple
you-
people.
You're irked about that one,
Import
huh?
a layer once, and then everybody in the group,
Gets to share it, yeah,
Yeah.
kinda.
and any updates get
Make it a
shared
good logo.
automatically.
So
Make
if
a
we
better
like,
one.
we
Come
can
with the frog.
export like, if we did the well ordinance or whatever, we had all the wells on there. And then we had like
The locations.
yeah, the
and
locations
whatever.
along with the preserved land and everything, we can export all of that we compile together as a file with somebody else too,
Yeah.
so it's not just like,
Yeah.
we have to make it.
Yeah.
big
Once
stuff
you
out.
have it, you can do whatever you want with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
So would you be able to have one master map you put up on the screen, you push well locations, all the well
Yeah.
locations
Yes,
will pop
yes,
up?
Yeah.
yes, that's what
So
I'm
it's
talking
just a
about.
layered, so, all right.
Yeah, it's literally layered, and you
Streets,
can
how
organize
many
the
streets
layers
are done,
that you
how many
want.
streets
the
are
main,
dirt?
I feel like the
How many
main
dead
thing
ends? And it'll highlight all the dead ends.
is you have to have somebody, I mean, there's Irina, am I saying that right? You have to have somebody that knows how to use it though.
Yeah.
Right.
Like otherwise, it's just gonna be like I can't even. I have this for my company. I don't even know how to open my files on it. Like this QGIS has like a very very high learning
You
curve.
gotta go through some of the tutorials.
Yeah, like I have to.
Hey,
Which
Siri,
I'm
open
gonna
my
I'm gonna have to
files.
do that for my work. Like I actually I'm gonna go through that within the next couple months. So like I might have a better idea of how to use it. But if if I'm the only one that knows how to use it.
That makes you more valuable.
Indispensable.
Yeah.
That doesn't get you the,
Yeah, like-
So
In
Dave,
theory.
Do you think it would be all right if I called up, Joey and said, would you be able to come to our EAC meeting, in November and demonstrate what you showed the Plan Slate Belt people at the September meeting?
Yeah.
And then we can ask him all these questions, just what can Lehigh Valley Planning Commission provide for us? How can we jumpstart our system without a huge cost?
I think a demonstration would be awesome.
Because could-
I think we should have more people in this room
Yeah, well,
that can see it, and there might be some ideas that aren't even
Oh,
crossing
yeah.
our heads.
Well, and they might have a system that we don't know about.
Can the
Right.
Lehigh
You know, they
Valley
might not be using ARC, I don't know.
Planning Commission
I
integrate
think
their
most of them
information
are
with
using
this?
ARC.
That would be the thing.
yeah, well, those are the
Because
questions we'd have to
they're
ask.
just one big data machine, that's all they are. That's all the planning commission does is just chew, digest
Yeah.
data.
It's amazing. So,
Our planning commission?
No, Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. Shame on you.
I was gonna say, our planning commission,
no,
come
they don't
on.
even, they wouldn't even know how to turn this on and get a Zoom.
Right.
going. Forget
I was
it.
making achievement that it worked and you got her on here.
Yeah.
That was.
Well, thank
That's
you
great.
thank you to Jeff
Jeff
and
and
Chris for
Alex.
coming, you know?
Alex brought all the
Future
tools.
supervisors.
Yeah. All right, so that would be the next step is I will see if he would do that. We'll just keep looking into this and see if we have more questions for Irene.
But she's a good resource, and if
Oh,
it comes down to
definitely.
it, that we just don't have time to figure it out,
Right.
we just throw it all at her and,
Well, even if we get this
She's willing to
database
do
and
it.
able to use it from Lehigh Valley Planning, I'm sure that we're gonna come up with questions that we're gonna have to go to her for help.
you know.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of townships have what they call the official township map. If a builder comes in, he says, well, I wanna build here, they get the maps out, they got the layers, well, you can't build there because that's preserved farmland, you can't build here because that's wetland or something. But this incorporates everything, right? I mean,
It sounded like it, I mean, it sounded like when I'm talking, what hers and what I was hearing from Plan Slateout is that you stack up, you layer layers, attributes, whatever you
Third
wanna call them.
layers, yeah.
You just put them together, and then you start asking your questions, which are so much more, I mean, when we tried this 10 or 15 years ago, when we started the Open Space Committee, it was pretty simple then. Things are so complex now, it's amazing. So,
Doesn't Northampton County have that already?
yeah, that's Lehigh Valley
Like,
Planning Commission.
yeah, but like when I worked at Chestnut Hill, which is Monroe County,
Yeah.
I could go on Monroe County GIS and then I had like a username that was like different than like the regular public, and I could layer the zoning map on top. That was all through the county.
for a dummy like me, who barely knows how to turn on a computer, that's impossible.
I just think I'm curious if it is in Northampton. I don't know.
Is there a way
They
to
do.
select a location and then,
Well,
would it like
I'll ask
automatically
that.
say everything that you're,
Yeah.
like, if it's a water
So you're
shed
gonna
area,
ask
or like, it,
Northampton County.
like
You
that
have to
would
turn the
come
layers
up.
on and off.
Alright, so it wouldn't say like, oh,
Yeah,
this
because
parcel
it's a two of
affects
them, and
these
they
layers.
work all of it together. They
Okay.
don't separate.
Like you have hits in all of
You
these
could probably
layers.
write a
She's
query
the
for
guy
that,
who's really
but that's
enthusiastic.
really
Wants to do
advanced.
Okay.
I would be happy to see us get the data and be able to look at it and turn the layers on and off and say, you know,
That just
overlay
would,
the
it would
wells.
simplify it. You'd say, oh, well, there's endangered species in that area, or, oh, there's this and that.
Do you have that data yet?
Instead of
I can
clicking
also
through,
say, like,
you know, 150 different maps, or like.
I mean,
who is
On
that?
my end,
Is that-
they're having a meeting.
GIS for
Oh.
I
work.
always wanted to do that.
Who's having a
Great,
meeting?
but I haven't taken it.
Fundraising committee
Well,
or
if I have to do
something.
it for work anyway,
Yeah.
then I kinda know
Well,
it.
Judy, without you. We have a fundraising committee?
I'm gonna get,
I don't know, I have fun.
I know, I'm avoiding it. I have to, but I actually
Fun
have to learn it
or
for work, so
fun?
maybe
If
if
you
I'm
want a fun
learning
kid
it
to have
for
fun,
this,
I'm all
it'll
in
have like
for
an
it.
external, it'll be like motivation I can
Yeah,
focus.
get focused.
Corey and John for, I forget what his name is.
Just Corey and Joe?
No, and a bunch of other people.
Oh,
8 of them in
okay,
there.
let me just,
They should try and
all right,
come up with
so
some
let me,
kind of funding for somebody.
go back to our agenda,
Oh,
and I'll
the,
just do some
the
housekeeping
hurricane.
real quick.
This is some local kid, I think, a person.
I guess the first thing we need to do.
We're already
that's
getting
our
stuff
minutes.
out in the garage for,
Did you see, I sent the
contributions.
updated ones, did you get the
You
updated ones?
did, and I hope you didn't think that was being.
No, 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 no,
I used to
it's
hate to
totally
criticize
fine.
anybody, but when I saw a few
Can you
little
pop
things.
No, 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 I would prefer that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're here, approve or amend our October agenda. Is there anything anybody wants to say that's not really on there? Our whole thing tonight was to look at this GIS and then maybe I'll run through this other housekeeping stuff and then we talk about a budget, if we can even figure out what that might be. So, is there any, approve and amend our October agenda? Okay, Dole, second?
Sure.
Okay. I was taught long ago that the chairperson only runs the meeting. You're not supposed to make, you're not supposed to make motions or, whatever.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, that's why I look at people like, what, do the make the motion?
It just sort of seems
I
silly to
know, it
approve
does.
an agenda of a meeting that we're 50 minutes into, like
Well,
that just
yeah,
sort
but
of.
we wanted to
Yeah,
get
we wanted to get her
her
going.
on.
Well,
and-
no, but I
yeah.
mean, like, we're here, even if it's
Okay, so.
the beginning,
um,
it's the meeting.
Mhm.
So the next thing was our September meeting minutes, approval of those, or any corrections anyone would have?
They look good.
Okay,
Second.
okay. All those yeah, whatever,
I don't
my
like
mind
that,
know
was-
what
that's
you
fun.
Okay, good. All right, any comment from the public yet? Okay, so the next thing was just to bring you up to date, the Delaware River Wild and Scenic Expansion Study, which got a little confusing there for a while because Tara thought she had it all, I shouldn't say it that way. She had her mindset on how this was gonna work, in that to include tributaries along with the main stem of the river. When she looked through it, she's saying, wait a minute, there's a little glitch here in the bylaws, we should check that out first, and others were saying, look, let's just move on with it. So where we got to now is, it did go to the Open Space Committee, they looked at it, and she explained it all to them, and they approved of the resolution. It's a 2 or 3 page resolution, which pretty much, you've heard her at different supervisor meetings, she's very definitive and wants everything in there so there's no questions asked. It's all documented. So that's now going to the supervisors, and there was just an email, so the update is that John had said he would put it on the October 28th meeting, which is the next supervisor workshop, and give her a half an hour to give her presentation to everybody, ask questions and do whatever. So in that regard, it would be up to the supervisors to say, we approve of the study to move forward. Then we get all our data together, which Tom Gilmore and maybe Dave Clooney are working on, get all that together, and then it gets put with everybody else up and down the river. It goes to another higher up committee and eventually to the federal government, the Park Service, to bring it to Congress. Then it has to go to Congress, and then we call up all our friendly politicians and say, please vote for this. So who knows how long this is gonna take yet.
Can I say something on that? The one thing that we must provide is a council member. And Tara said that Jeff Ackerman was interested in taking the role, going into all the meetings. I spoke to Jeff. He is on board. He was supposed to be here tonight, but he isn't.
Yeah, I gave him the link at the last minute.
I had some questions for him directly since he was going to the meetings. He said that he's going to try and find them out for me. Just, afterthoughts as I was driving home, thinking about it, I jotted a couple things down. So I ran it by him. He was unsure of it as well, so he's gonna reach out to either Tara or at the next meeting to find out a little bit more.
I go to meetings all the time, whether I'm appointed or not. I figure I'm part of the public, you can't kick me out. So I wanna listen to what's going on, who said it and how they said it. So I started going back to the Wildland Scenic Management Council meetings, which are Zoomed every quarter. And they just had one a week or so ago, and Jeff's been going to them, because his parents were very much involved.
Yeah,
And
they
I
actually
think-
started it in this area.
I figure he would be a perfect representative because of his business and everything
I
else.
agree.
He's very much into it. So as long as he's willing to accept it and the supervisors agree, we got no problem with that. But just ask, cause he can always ask the people,
Well,
whoever it is.
I just wanted to shore up that, because that is our only commitment as far as I can read. But there seems to be another slight thing that I wanna get an answer from, that we might have another commitment in there that's kind of a hidden type of, I just wanna figure it out,
Yeah.
if I'm not reading too much into it.
Yeah, sometimes you do and you don't. That's why you try to be really careful, but then it leaves openings.
We must
I'm
be a
just-
part of the plan.
Well, the plan is just like, the study for the preserve. It's like, you made a plan, you got a plan, we're gonna try to, live up to it. If we have any questions, we come and ask. But there's no regulation keeping you, it's the carrot and the stick deal. We got this carrot up here, but we're not gonna whack it with a stick, just.
Well, the two things were that, one, we appoint someone to be on the council, and the other is we abide and go with the plan.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah, you
just solely agree with people, and I
Did you read
wanna,
the whole,
no plan
ordinance or the
is listed.
resolution?
It's,
Oh.
what it reads on there is that, the town ordinances, county and state will override, take precedence.
they're the regulations.
But they don't have anything as far as a plan. Each area can devise its own, but I just want a little bit of clarification into,
There is one somewhere, with all those links she gave, I'll have to go back and look at it,
but
I-
the government does give money for free, so I just wanna make sure that
Oh,
there's
yeah.
no,
No.
that there's,
People ought to understand that anytime you
I'm
get a
following
grant or
the
anything
string back,
else,
that's it.
there's always strings attached. But I'm just thinking now, there's no reason why the supervisors couldn't appoint Jeff right now to be on that lower Walden Civic Management. I mean, it was his parents, and then it was me for a while, and then it fell apart.
I would like him
Yeah.
to ask for the
Well-
position, not just
Okay,
us
so
saying,
maybe
hey, you're it.
ask him if on the 28th, when Tara comes to give this presentation, have her say, well, I think it's time you appoint a representative. And ask if he would be there.
That's a good
And
fit.
put his name in. They may say,
what's
oh,
today?
well, we gotta put it
Wednesday?
out there and get a whole bunch of
Today's
people to.
Wednesday, I can ask him tomorrow.
Yeah.
You might wanna have him actually submit a letter of interest. to
That's
the
what,
Cindy.
that's the normal kind of
Yeah.
cause, so I want him to ask and us to approve instead of
Yeah.
us.
And they still might say, well, maybe we should put it out there and see if anybody else wants to. Then you end up with some kooky person.
Being that his father created it, he's kind of
Yeah.
like, he
How could
really
you not?
wants to carry the torch,
Oh, yeah.
and
I agree, but in this township, in the days gone by, that didn't hold much water. But
okay.
you got a new board now, and you guys are on the up and up. So that's with that, and we'll see what Dave says, but the well ordinance was heard by the planning commission. They weren't asked to make a decision, so at some point, the well ordinance will go to the supervisors, but as an ordinance, there's gonna have to be a public hearing. So that'll take whatever.
We got the report back from the Lehigh Live Planning Commission. They were very impressed with it. They just went two things. They went a description of what the well enforcement officer is and his duties, and they want the production wells put in there. I guess to differentiate between a production well and a test well. So,
Okay. Right, so,
but our planning commission just asked a couple questions and that's it.
yeah,
They didn't recommend or not recommend or.
right.
Did I miss the last time?
Apparently.
Well, I streamed it so you can watch it.
You can see when the question came up, what they had to say about it.
Okay.
I haven't had time to read it.
That's
the
That's
usual.
when they were supposed to recommend for the zoning hearing board, special exemption.
Yeah, I was at
And
that one.
that's the one. That was a no
They punted that one.
no
I was gonna
recommendation.
sleep for the first half then.
Should've stayed asleep the whole way.
All right, so other than that, we just did the outreach for the GIS. It's like, and I just tacked it down here, Plan Slate Belt Multi-Municipal Comprehensive Plan. At some point within the
Right, now I
next,
remember.
by the end of the year,
I
they
remember
want
the questions.
all of the municipalities to agree we're gonna be a part of this. Then we get into the, you know, who does what. There's a lot of other things, but I think more people in the township ought to be knowing what's going on here and how it could benefit us in the long run. We need long-term regional planning. So all of that brings me down, one last thing is, the Liberty to Water Gap Trail. That study was done in 2013, and a few years later, instead of just an ad hoc committee, they actually have ordinances in Delaware Water Gap, Portland, Mount Bethel. 3 municipalities where the Water Gap Trail will go from Portland to Delaware Water Gap through our township. And so there's now an ordinance making them, I forgot the title of it, I have to look at the complete name. I don't know. But anyway, there's supposed to be 2 representatives and 1 alternative. We never seemed to fill that spot, and when it did, off the record, when they kicked me off and they, you know, Bob Keel was like, oh, yeah, and David Dew, and I don't know who, Ed Nelson.
David Dew was our representative, correct?
For a while, and they would show up or they wouldn't show up. So you really need 2. I just said I would step back on now because they asked me, and Nick is usually the manager. You want somebody who's got a constant, what's going on here in the township, to be helping, to be able to check with the supervisors or whoever, but when something comes up, you have a feel for what's going on and you're able to get it on an agenda or get it to be able to be discussed. So, we right now, it would be nice to have 1, and instead of me, another. You know, I'm one of the originals.
What's the commitment
This
level?
is-
Just like a meeting?
The problem is with this, is it takes a long time to get anything done.
Yeah.
And if you looked at all the
It's slow.
brochures,
It is slow.
because it's going through all kinds of, our municipalities, then it's got the 2 counties, Monroe and and Northampton County. Then you've got state, because it's a state road going through there and everything else. So what's going on now is the counties are working together on whatever they had for getting money for what, and of course then the Rockfall, what's going on with 611, kind of put a crimp on everything. But my understanding now, Northampton County's been moving along, but the person who was really good for so many years in Monroe County left, and it left a huge void. They're saying they can't even find her records. And so whoever's up there now, it's sort of in a little bit of turmoil. We're trying to bring that back together. Because what everybody's saying, when Tara is here, it's like, you've got the road, you've got the railroad, you've got the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, and the bike trail. Why couldn't you cooperate and all work together? No, if there's gonna be an environmental review, they're each gonna do one separately. Nothing's ever gonna get accomplished. So
what is the?
What we're doing here is these, you can have members, quarterly meetings are 5:30. The next one is next month here at 5:30.
Well, I do know that David Dew still has all his information. He's still pretty passionate about it, even though he's kind of left the scene.
If he's local and he wants to be on it,
If
he
you
can
don't
be on
wanna
it.
do it, I could try and ask him. I had a meeting with him, actually 3 meetings, back to back to back. And he brought out all the stuff from that Liberty Trail, so he's still adamant about it.
You only have to be a resident.
want us to pay?
He doesn't have to be a supervisor. So ask him, but, so what it is quarterly meetings are 5:30, and it switches around, but since the road is closed 6/11, we haven't been going to Delaware Water that much. A lot of time in the summer it was here. But the thing is, other in-between meetings are 9 o'clock in the morning, third Wednesday. So a lot of people, if they're working, they're not working. Except for Nick. I'm asking for representatives for Liberty to Water Gap Trail.
Oh.
We need more people.
So they're sometimes 5:30 and sometimes 9 a.m.
Quarterly it's 5:30, but monthly it's 9 a.m. and that's to keep everybody in touch.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a lot going on, people just, like, why are we meeting? But there's always something that's out there, either politically or, you know. So it's like, I'm thinking, the 3 people, you have Cindy Fish from Portland, Susan Cooper from Delaware Water Gap, and then other people that come on and off. Lance sometimes is there, he's another. So it's just trying to push things through. They're gonna have a Founder's Day in Portland, and I know they'll talk about it, keep people interested. Because I can remember years ago, politicians will tell you, make me do it. I need the public to put pressure on me so I can let everybody else know, oh, my constituents want this. So just sitting there thinking, oh, he's a good guy, he'll do it for us. Yeah.
The
We need to get
16th
things
is
out
the
in the
next
public.
meeting, right? The 16th is the next meeting.
It's right before the planning commission.
I know.
Here. And so they
I
do it
told
really
them.
quick, I know, they try to get it done in an hour and get out of here by 6:30.
Yeah.
So,
That's why I was thinking over 11 years, and they have a map.
Well, now it's 6/11.
Well, actually-
I know that was a big,
I could be an
hang up.
alternate.
okay.
Like,
That'd be great.
the thing, I can make some of the 9 a.m. meetings on Wednesdays too, as long as my work doesn't
Yeah.
have a trip, but like, because I work from home when I'm not traveling, I have some
I mean,
flexibility.
everybody understands that. Nick couldn't make it the last one, there were 4 of us there
Yeah.
in Portland. So, you know, but there were things we needed to discuss and get caught up on. That's the one thing too. It means all 3 municipalities can start discussing what's going on that may not always be about the trail. But you kind of coordinate or get to know what's happening, so you're not blindsided.
Right.
You did everything, I just did.
So, okay, so that, and that does it, other than, I guess, asking Nick, what are we doing for a budget? I mean, what are we
Well,
asking for?
I always give you 5,000.
No, 500.
Take the 5,000 and run.
Well, I know.
Then we can get ArcGIS.
We can get ArcGIS.
We can get
All right, we'll put in for $100.
So, I
Please
know
give
if
everybody.
we don't use it, we give it back. And there was one year when the township was
Yeah,
really
yeah,
strapped that we gave
it's always there for
Yeah.
a newest, because you're new, this is the first year, but it's always 5,000
Yeah, I mean-
is where we sit for everybody, doesn't mean you spend it, Like open space, we don't even spend a dime.
We're not, I mean, we were always, open space and EIC were very, very penny pinching, we tried
Yeah.
not to spend it unless we
But
had
if
to.
there's schooling or
Well,
class.
we're talking about the GIS,
might
I'm
wanna
sorry
put
you
Yeah.
missed that.
The,
Yeah, if
the
you wanna-
meeting was recorded, so
Oh, okay.
you get a chance. Well, I guess we have to send it.
You gotta send it to me.
We'll send it to
Well,
you.
I've
on-
also,
Next time you got COVID,
I've
you
also
got
got
something to
a
watch.
change, so.
Was it on pirate? It's on you? Oh, okay, so I have
She
it.
sent it to her.
So, look it over and watch it and see what your opinion is, and then November, tell us what you think. and
All
see
right.
what-
Judy, the GIS thing is technically township-wide.
Yeah, it should be a township thing.
So, yeah, it wouldn't
Come out of our $5,000.
necessarily, yeah, that's, it may start that way,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it should be an operating
They might
expense, I
scratch
would
it out of the
think.
budget, he's getting antsy.
well, we can start it as a,
Yeah.
like usual, this is a pilot program through the EAC.
Yeah.
Let's see how far it would go.
Yeah.
Because we sat here and talked of all kind of uses that the township would have for it.
Mhm.
It would just make operating and planning a whole lot easier, it would streamline it a little bit.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't have to come look at the paper maps.
Yeah,
As
right.
long as
Yeah.
somebody's willing to train people in the township to use it.
I love
Yeah.
paper
Right.
maps, but I
Every
can't
time
print
that
them or
someone's
take them
elected.
with me.
That's the
Right,
problem.
that's the thing.
That's the thing.
Well, we
What are you
need
gonna
Nick
do
to
in
learn it.
Armageddon? What?
We need Nick to learn GIS and he'll be.
Yeah.
Right,
I'll
there you
come,
go.
I'll
Make
go.
yourself more indispensable
I'm
to
always,
the
I'm all
township.
into that.
Yeah, that would be
I just
great.
learned something from Dole the other day about manure.
Manure,
Yeah.
In the middle of Orchard Road yet too, we talked about the middle of the road.
Literally
You thought your
learning
cows
new
were
shit
on
every
fire.
day.
Yeah, the cows were on fire.
That's a good
Long
thing to
story,
learn this
long
time.
story.
Yeah, exactly, I didn't know.
Sounds
Learned so much in
delicious.
cows in my whole lifetime in one day.
Stay in the middle of the road yet too, almost got hit by traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was one of, I know between, well, all of us, even Allison with the watershed and, you know, being a watershed specialist, all these things, we wanted to do a lot of education and get more things on the township website or a link where we could be putting things up
Yeah.
and having the GIS. And, you know, years ago when the EAC, we had some maps that were made for us through the county and Nature Conservancy and others. We had a display down at the fire hall for whatever, Representative Grisella, they have this day, you know, like, I think right now Ann Flood has one somewhere. And we'd have the board set up with all these different maps that we had. People love that. People love to see and come and see where they are
Mm.
and where's the wetland, where's, you know, how close am I to the next, you know, road or, you know, whatever.
Guess
And
how they made the
just-
maps.
People love to see maps, they really do. So, and that was getting me the open space started and everything too, so, and their zoning, so yeah. All right, any other public questions or answers or comments by anyone before we adjourn?
I had a
Oh,
couple of
sorry.
things I'd like to just
Didn't-
get down so that we get to maybe sometime. One is, if the zoning board approves the special exception, and I know the supervisors met to talk about conditions, but I wondered if there would be room for our committee to be involved in helping with conditions. Or if
Don't
the-
those need to be delivered tomorrow?
They were already delivered.
Yeah, I think they were already presented.
Tomorrow's the hearing and the vote.
But, so the assumption is that they're granting the special exception.
We don't know
Oh,
what they're
no.
gonna do, but
Yeah.
they may grant it with conditions.
Yeah.
They may not
Or
grant it at all.
granted without conditions.
So,
Conditions were presented,
Yeah,
Allison.
yeah,
There
that's
was,
for the,
That's not
Irrigation.
given to the zoning
guaranteed.
officer.
Special exception.
Or they may not grant it, which is what we're hoping for,
Yes.
some of us.
and no matter which way it goes, it'll probably be a
done.
Yeah.
It's the summation of the three lawyers.
Right.
It'll be
But do you have any meetings,
expecting a
did you
decision
have,
that
I mean, you didn't have much time
Meeting.
for conditions.
Yeah.
Or
we had
maybe,
just- our engineer had already listed,
okay,
he submitted.
okay, so he was ready to, okay,
And
okay.
this is something that the planning commission should have done.
This is an abnormality
Well, they got,
for
I mean,
the
they
zoning
found out
to ask
about last
us.
week, you know,
No,
3 weeks
no,
ago.
No, the precedent
Yeah.
was always there that the planning commission should meet and advise the zoning hearing board, but this time the precedent was ignored.
Right.
And they both basically almost forced them to have a meeting, and they spent a whole half hour.
To come up to say, I have no recommendation
not
Would-
recommendation.
Well, there was one member that was very strongly opposing and even stated for the record that even if it passed, he wanted to be marked as opposed.
And another thought I have is, recycling here in the township. I know Lindsay was talking more than a year ago about, when we were doing the preserve meetings, that we needed all that facility space because of, look down the road for, I know we do cardboard recycling out there now, and I don't know that's well publicized, but,
We do that here,
oh, it's here, it's
Yeah.
not down there.
yeah.
But, compostables are, there's a lot of things that we could maybe talk about through this committee and make recommendations to see how we could,
So eventually, we hope to move our road crew down there.
Yeah.
And then we can get planning, where a compost heap can be, because right now, there's a gate there that closes the facility off.
that's good, but they take tires there, is
Yeah,
that right
yeah,
too?
we do
I mean, I don't
recycled
even-
tires,
yeah.
yep.
I mean, just some,
We're
just,
charging for tires, though, aren't we?
Well, we have to charge for it, we get charged for it.
We charge for the tires,
We
yeah.
charge,
Do
we,
they-
I mean, that's some kind of educational thing, I
Right,
think that
to
we
be
could make
on the township website.
Yeah.
But do they come in, people have to come in here and say, I have 5 tires out in my
right,
car,
they
and
pay
here's,
us, they
and
pay
you drop them
Cindy,
here and they take
and
them
then
down.
they take them over to the,
So I didn't know about the cardboard.
Yeah,
How-
There's a
Cardboard's
dumpster
here.
out there.
Oh, there's a dumpster just
Yeah,
for
just for
cardboard.
just
So
for
you can
cardboard.
just
You don't wanna
use-
put it all in your own,
You don't have to, there's no fee for it, you just use
no,
it.
no,
No.
no, you just come
So-
and break up the cardboard and put it in
Break it
there.
up, make it flat, no gunky pizza.
So you're looking for like a full-blown, like glass, plastic, things like that?
Well, I mean, I just sort of think as an environmental committee, we're looking to the future to keep stuff out of landfills, or at least
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And, I know some municipalities have fits and starts on stuff.
Yeah, there is a lot of grants for that, and, so you're talking about composting and things like, not, because plastic eventually is gonna make it to the landfill and they'll recycle it, but you're talking about composting, I guess?
I mean, that's a thought.
Giving it back
I
to
mean,
the-
there's some, I mean, I have a lot of property, so I have room to do it. But some
Yeah.
people don't have room to do it, and it may be, an opportunity, it's just,
I'd suggest you guys put it on your agenda and actually come up with it. It sounds like a good idea, it's just
There
the
was a big-
start of a really good idea, it needs to be
There was
outlined.
a big discussion quite a while ago when the whole thing was move the road crew down to whatever. We had someone who did, you have to take pictures. So between 2008 and 13, when I was supervisor, we had 3 people come in, and I think it was, which company? They did a study of the new park up at the Potomac Street, this building, that building, and what can we do with it, and all these options. And if that building was gonna be the township building or whatever, composting. I mean, they even had diagrams on how you come in, you'd have all the concrete back, and you'd throw all, and it was mostly for, leaves and leaf branches and those kind of things. But when you really listen to what it takes, a road crew person would have to be sort of monitoring that nothing, but then you have to, like windrows, they had to turn it, you had to do a certain thing to make it compost and not catch on fire. So it got to be like who's gonna do the GIS, who's gonna do that, we don't have enough, personnel
Well,
here.
we do have a burn pile. That's what
I
we
didn't
do
know that
now.
either.
Yeah.
See,
So leaves, branches, grass.
Okay.
I've also seen some municipalities that collect sticks
Doing
and,
burn piles on their own.
and larger pieces of
Take it up
wood
as tiny.
and eventually chip it and then provide mulch back to their citizens for.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
If anybody,
sometimes
if anybody,
Strasburg does that.
if
I
anybody
picked up
needs
some
chips,
there.
they're doing a lot of work on $1 Million and, Hayden, and they're doing a lot of clearing, and they're doing a lot of chipping. And I said.
And I know they're always looking for places to dump.
Yeah, cause they're gonna put it in our burn pile, but it says offer it to the residents, cause they'll
Yeah.
take it. So, if anybody knows anybody that needs, they'll drive it up to you and give it to you.
They'll either do it.
That's
They'll
good, I
dump
loaded
it.
up my truck like 4 times this year with
If you
chips.
need it for your property,
If they'll take it to my house, I'm all for
they'll
it.
dump it.
too many rocks around here.
A lot of rocks.
Everywhere.
I
shovel
pulled up a lot of
goes.
rocks and now I'm at the point of just burying it with wood chips. Hell with it.
Okay, did you have anything else?
No, I just wanted to get these.
I know you're working on with the watershed, we're working on getting the stream and road crossing signs.
Oh, I did
that-
have something else, cause I talked to
They're
Lindsay
all
last
faded.
week. Do you have any of that information from when we did it before, as far as, like, is 611 and 512 are only state roads in this township, or?
191.
Richmond.
Yeah.
One
High
ninety-
school,
and,
Richmond, whatever.
because the state will pay
There's
for
a
the
couple state
signs.
roads.
Some
for
of
all
them, half
state
a river
roads.
road, right? Half a
But
river.
Part of
that's
River
where,
Road.
the consultant for the watershed study
Creek Road.
had that information, and we got grants for it, so I can't even, that's why Rich is saying, he can't even go
Yes.
back and see where these signs had been placed.
Lake Mincy on the
Some
other
of them,
side of
the
the
post and
North Banger,
everything's
that's
gone.
all state.
But that was the whole idea.
Is there a-
Is to
there a
get
map?
people to know
Yeah,
what
just,
watershed unit is.
We might have a township road map.
Yeah, I
No,
think Justin
but
has
Is
the
there a
map.
map, haha?
Well, I mean, that's what I asked Lynn, and he said just call and ask him,
See, that would be
you know,
another point, just
but-
put that in and pop them up
I
and.
could ask Lynn in the morning, I don't know if I know we have a map out here of our roads.
so,
but
well, if we have
maintain a lot
of our
it.
road, then any other road would be state road.
Yeah,
Okay, I mean, that,
We don't have any county roads, right?
there's no county roads.
There's county bridges, but no county roads.
Yeah. 512 and 611 is
The one down
main-
here, it's not, that's a county
Main
bridge.
state roads.
cause Lynn thought maybe you had information from when we did it
On the state
before.
road.
I got it started, John took over, the grants ran out after Lower Mount Bethel got theirs, and he said, oh, I'm sorry, so the next year we got ours, but he did all the work. So the watershed did it, the road crew put them up, but I didn't know exactly, you know, we should've had a map, you know, we should've had a map, we could've had GIS, but,
They're expensive.
but yeah, that's why,
Inspections.
I,
and all
you know, I can
Just repair.
imagine,
Got done one.
figure out what streams are here and where's the one that crosses the road the most. I mean, if it's way up in the sticks and nobody's up there, the idea was to get people to understand what watershed they lived in.
Well,
Yeah, the one they just.
yeah, and I think we're pretty far along, it's
Okay.
just cost and prioritizing
Right.
the signs. And the one step was if the state will pay for those are state roads, but I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Other townships, they can tell what
Any
is state
grants?
and
We
what
could
are
try to get grants.
Yeah, there were grants available that I think Rich knew about, and I didn't pass on to him. But again, a lot of them are already due, and so you have to wait till next
I
year.
think so, for roads.
Did you have
Other
anything
grants
else?
out there, you just have to know where to look.
I know,
No.
and have,
Oh,
I
but
didn't
they
wanna
missed
solve any
one that was,
problems.
almost
Get some
2 days ago.
down so we can talk
Yeah.
about
That was,
other
Right.
those are the
sites.
county LSA grants.
Yeah,
They don't
And
require-
but it's an
lower
LSA
ceiling.
I like the recycling.
State now is.
The composting thing, might, there might be
State
some
now is
logistical
open
things,
till the end of
but
November.
there could be an option.
Alright, then that's
The
it.
chip
Then
part.
Putting in
Yeah.
for,
You do have, you know,
all granted for,
turning to have a successful
Eastern
compost pile,
Industries.
you have to keep it turned, and that's.
Fix
that's-
all those
Okay,
buildings.
we can't do the roads.
And
But
it
it
also,
also,
how much
it
rate
could
We get,
be
I mean,
a
we get a
hassle,
lot, they don't get a lot of liquid
need
fuels,
stuff.
but we
Right.
do.
So,
So a lot of our liquid
Well,
fuels, we put in a grant
I guess
for
Palmer
the
Township
bridge.
and Easton has a,
That bridge that we need to
I
fix.
guess the
Yeah.
road crew
We
manages
put in a
it,
county
so,
one for that,
It's not
about
helpful.
$250.
we should
Well,
really
now
go
that I
visit
have
another
people from
facility once
solar,
and see what, how they do
I'll
it.
sit down.
I mean,
Chestnut
Mary
Hill's
said
a
that
really
she,
nice recycling
mixed
facility,
up the whole-
really
I wanna
nice.
give
If
the
you guys
booth
ever
to
wanna
her, she could-
tour that,
You
I can
guys
set
think
it
the
up.
roof is okay?
Might be an option.
But they have that, like you can either go there if
No,
you're a
they're
resident
gonna
there,
just,
or you can
they're
get
not gonna
everything
drill, they
picked up
just put
through like
frames
the,
up on ballast.
like I don't know,
so it
'cause we have the
Those are the-
trash
Yeah, we
recycling
don't want
system that like,
electric.
was it waste management that comes
Well,
around?
You don't drill into a rubber roof.
No.
They don't have that.
So we went up
I
there.
guess they do.
oh, they probably individuals contract
Yeah,
themselves
yeah.
for the-
fixed
And then they have the
now it's
transfer
cheaper than the
station.
next one.
Which they got, I think through a grant,
They
but
just put frames down, they put weights on them.
Look into that, check the grants.
So they, you don't even penetrate.
they have
the
like
wall.
allied services that like runs everything, which is like, that
No,
helps,
that's what the
hire
weights are
people
for.
with disabilities.
That would be another kind of way to have that.
More-
Okay.
I just need the money now.
I know, I can get Dave to come talk to us, he is super passionate
So,
about it.
this is the bottom line for
He's
everything.
the manager there.
40% is almost
That's
guaranteed.
nice.
There's a way to get to 60.
Okay, anything else from the peanut gallery? Oh, that's so old fashioned thing, I'm sorry.
That's so
The
derogatory.
peanut gallery wants
Is
popcorn.
it?
The
I don't know
peanut
how
gallery,
well, isn't
They
that from
call it a
Howdy,
lot worse than the
isn't that
peanut
from Howdy
gallery.
Doody?
What?
Isn't that from Howdy Doody?
Something,
Now
like
you're
that shows you
dating
how old I
yourself.
am, yeah.
Howdy
Oh, you think that's an old quote? I remember when it started.
Howdy do they
I
get past
know,
me?
probably. What did you ask me?
I was just saying, peanut gallery wants popcorn.
Yeah, oh, well, I don't know, you have,
Did you say Jeff?
the
You want
Park and
popcorn?
Recreation had a
The
popcorn.
peanut gallery
Well,
wants
November,
popcorn.
we might have a budget.
I actually brought popcorn
Yeah.
to a couple of
We
the
get our own
zoning
We came
popcorn.
hearings.
into the money, yeah.
'Cause they
Okay,
were-
Jeff, the idea is that now that the EAC has a budget,
We want a
yeah,
popcorn
maybe we
machine.
could
What
get a
a popcorn,
popcorn
you
machine.
could borrow the.
The
Park
Parks and
Rec.
Recs has it.
They have
That's
a
what I
nice
thought,
popcorn
don't they
machine.
Buy a lot of
Yeah, so
popcorn
you
for
could
5
just
grand.
pay to lease it, pay to lease it just for your meetings.
Yeah.
$5 each.
But Judy, you sounded like my wife, when I give her a budget, she just spends it. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Use it or
I thought you said for the day.
Yeah.
All right, we are digressing here. Is there anything else anybody would like to talk about, complain about, whatever? Otherwise, we will adjourn the meeting, 8. Okay. All right, now you can really talk.
Motion
No.
to adjourn.
Thank you. Yeah, motion to adjourn, I'm sorry. We run.